Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us. If you're looking to discover Japan with Teen, then you're in the right place. My name is Stuart Shreve, and I'm the Internships Program Manager with Teen. And today, we're going to talk about Japan. So with me today, I have Sierra, our Region and Account Manager, monitoring the chat. So feel free to drop your questions there. We are very excited to share all the amazing things that you'll discover when you study abroad with Teen in Japan. So let's talk about why we love Japan first, right? There's a lot of reasons. So the food, right? So sushi, ramen, obviously what's not to love? The Japanese view sharing meals as a way to grow stronger bonds, build corporate work teams, and practice rituals. The longer you spend at the table, essentially the better. You're quickly going to see every city and region has their own traditions for what to eat, how to cook it, and when to eat. And if you love the food, obviously you're going to love Japan. In terms of the culture, Japanese culture traces its roots back to the ancient world and has influenced art, fashion, and food around the world. Whether you're visiting the Tokyo Imperial Palace or the incredible temples of Japan, the architecture is amazing. And even if you're a big fan of anime, you can explore the place it originated and learn more about the history via museums and conventions. In terms of nature, from mountains to the sea, Japan obviously offers it all. Whether you're looking to climb Mount Fuji or enjoy Japan's cherry blossoms, there are so many breathtaking places to explore. Experience awe-inspiring waterfalls, volcanoes, hot springs, and beaches, obviously, with the help of Japan's efficient transit system to get around. All right, so city life, right? So while studying abroad with Teen, live in one of the world's largest cities, Tokyo. Take advantage of the endless noodle shops and sushi restaurants, reset in the green spaces that are within the city, and adventure around the many neighborhoods to experience the unique mix of new and old. If you're looking for a slower pace, intern in Kyoto, great location. Known for being the epicenter of Japanese culture, Kyoto has so many ancient temples and traditional tea houses. Also the home of Nintendo, Kyoto is a great destination to call home if you're looking to grow your professional skills and jump into the gaming industry. So as far as, all the excursions, our team plans cultural activities for all of our students throughout your program to help you immerse with Japanese culture. A student favorite every time or every term is the Japanese cooking lesson. You might be rolling up your sleeves to make sushi or cutting noodles to make traditional ramen. Either way, I'm sure you're going to be pleased with the results of that. We also offer longer excursions on our semester programs, such as taking you to explore Mount Fuji for the whole day. So we do have different program options. We do have study abroad versus internship. In terms of university options, here's a look at some of our most popular programs. In Tokyo, we have a combination of study abroad and internship options, with the host university being JF Oberlin. And that's a blend of traditional and modernity. Modest noodle shops, next to high-end sushi joints, green spaces, and nearby nature with the urban landscape. If we're going to switch it over to Kyoto, we do have full-time internships in pre-established positions. You can intern in the summer for a period of 8 weeks, or fall and spring as well. 32 hours per week for the internship. It is a full-time professional experience. And again, Kyoto is going to be more famous for Buddhist temples, picturesque gardens, traditional wooden houses, geishas, and also tempting cuisine. All right, so who's going to help you along the way? All right, so obviously I mentioned my name is Stuart. I'm the program manager for internships in Japan. We have 2 different locations. We have Tokyo and we also have Kyoto. And basically my role is to help you every step of the way. From the first day you apply for your program, I'll reach out to you. I'll give you a warm greeting. And really, our support and my work never stops until you return successfully back on the ground. Helping you find your internship placement, helping you craft, the perfect resume and cover letter. All of those super personal services is what I do as a program manager. We also have on the study abroad side, Trisha Turner. So she's the senior program manager for study abroad in China and Japan. And much like myself, she helps you through the application process in terms of, courses and universities and all the different program specifics that you or your university, may have to adhere to. So that's where our personalized help really comes in handy when there's some things like that. When you get to Japan, obviously Kyoto, if you're doing an internship, or Japan internship or study abroad, you have on-site staff support, right? So these are people that we work with every step of the way on your journey. We have Lena Hoshi, she's your student services coordinator in Tokyo. And then we also have Ricky Komamoto, and he's going to be your student services coordinator as well. So they are the ones that live in Japan, and they help you organize excursions, and they give you a really awesome orientation when you get there. And they are a great support system for you when you go abroad to Japan. All right, so moving on, we have some funding facts. Are you an out-of-state student? Going to abroad might be cheaper than home, something to consider. Do you already use financial aid? I would say check with your financial aid office to see if you can apply abroad and use that financial aid abroad. Do you currently use any scholarships? You might be able to take your scholarships with you abroad. And then also, have you looked into your budget, right? Maybe consider getting a job or saving beforehand, or asking, family and friends for, funds over gifts so you can help fund your way. So what's next if you haven't already applied? I strongly encourage you to set up an advising appointment where our team can help you stay in touch with your study abroad office along the way. And we can help you narrow down options that fit the program that fits your needs. So Sierra is going to be dropping a link right now if you'd like to book an appointment with them. And then once you've chosen your program, you're going to need to apply with us as well as your home university. So just be sure to stay in touch with your study abroad office along the way, as they can really help you through the process as it relates to your university. And then once you apply, our program managers will be there to answer any of your questions that you have along the way. Okay, so if you're just starting out or have already enrolled in your program, we think it's always helpful to talk to somebody who's been there and who's done it. We're definitely happy to connect you with one of today's panelists or someone else from our alumni network. Sierra's dropping a link in the chat where you can fill that out to be connected directly with one of our alumni to ask them questions, hear more about their experience abroad, or if you just want to connect with somebody with similar identities to you, either way, we got you. Okay, so let's meet our panelists. It's time for Q&A with our amazing alumni. So let's do a quick introduction. Tell us a little bit about your background and what brought you to Japan.
Hi everyone, my name's Kai Gavin. If you want to just say Kai, that's easier. Lots of people say that. I am actually from Watsonville, California. If you know Santa Cruz Skateboard or O'Neill's, or you like surfing, you probably know the place. It's close to San Francisco. I attend Endicott College. I'm a sport management major, and going to Japan, it's been about 6+ years since I last went, and I wanted to go there as one of my bucket list things to study there finally, and I got the opportunity, and one of my best things I've ever done in my life, and I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world.
That's awesome. I will also just mention that one of our other alumni is going to be joining us after her class, Meredith. So again, we're just going to go a quick introduction with Kai now, and then Meredith's going to join later. Kai, what university did you study at while abroad?
I was able to study at JF Oberlin University, so I was actually staying in Futsunobe, but they say it's in Matsuda, even though it's a 30-minute bus ride that you always have to take. And it's not bad at all. You can walk too. It's just if you're willing to walk in the 97-degree weather.
No, I'd rather not, to be honest.
I'd always take the bus, so it's fine.
All right. Well, you know what? I'm going to start you off with an easy one. So why did you choose Tokyo?
Well, Tokyo, I chose that because before going to Japan, I think it was also an influence too. I had family friends that are from there. I played football with one of them, actually. His family's over there. They were willing to help me all the time. And then I also made another friend. When I was at Endicott, I got to meet her again. It was amazing. So just having that connection beforehand really helped out. And also Tokyo, kind of the epicenter of where lots of things happen, especially for a sports nerd like me.
Most definitely is. Sports nerd. I mean, anime nerd. They have something obviously for all, or food nerd as well. So even after you decided where you wanted to go, obviously, as we know, study abroad can be a bit daunting. So, what would you say were some of the things you worried about before leaving?
Worrying about, I'd say it's knowing the language. That's like one of the biggest things. You'll hear from lots of people, and you'd say, "Oh no, you'd be fine." It's one of those places where English is available. However, that should be the secondary option. Over time, you're going to need to start to know Japanese a little bit more because it's a nice thing to do. It's very respectful over there. You'll get the Gaijin pass for a little bit, which Gaijin means like foreigner pass. But in a sense, if you're living there for as long as I did, you're being kind of rude a little bit. And they're not going to be bad about it. They won't be mad about it. They'll try and help you at times, but over time, it's you got to ask your senseis if you can. You got to ask your classmates. But more than anything, you have to take the initiative to start learning ahead of time, which honestly, I should probably start doing that. But I was able to learn it in Japan. So it was actually more, in my sense, I enjoyed it more.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think meeting them halfway is probably a good thing to do as well, right? Or at least showing that you want to try to learn.
Yeah.
Obviously, we know when you step foot, culture shock is a real thing. Obviously, sometimes navigating your personal identity, can be tricky in a new, unfamiliar place. So, what would you say was your experience, or what was your experience like, navigating your identity while embracing this culture around you?
Well, I think being over there, because I've been abroad before, I'm actually back to where I first went studied abroad was Ireland. So I call it kind of like Boston away from Boston. So it's very similar. But I would always keep mentioning Ireland all the time. And I even told myself, and yeah, it's going to get annoying for them. And eventually it did because I keep comparing everything to that. And
Mhm.
also because I'm personally part Japanese American, for some reason in my ignorant mind, I thought, oh, I get the pass and all that. But then over time, I started to learn, no, they don't see me as Japanese. So for some reason, they view me more as, I even remember asking them, they said, Kai, you look more Filipino than Japanese. And I asked them why. And they said, you have more of a tan. I'm like, okay, fair enough. But yeah, it's just mainly that. In terms of culture shock, it's everything's bit, I don't even know if I want to just say different. It's totally opposite from Western standards that we're so used to, and how
Mhm.
everything is so Eurocentric in America and the rest of the world. You go to Japan, it's totally different, which I find as a more true study abroad experience, because if you go to some place in Europe, it's very similar to an extent that's like America. Versus you go to Japan, a little bit, but not as much. You have to take the initiative more than anything to learn.
No, I agree. I agree. And it's kind of about putting yourself in that space and having that, full transformative experience, right? Being around a new group of people and a new way of life. All right. Well, you know what? Let's talk a little bit about making friends. Obviously,
Mhm.
this is a concern we hear from students each and every year. And if you're looking to make friends with locals, obviously, as we know, the language barrier can be tough to overcome. So, what advice do you have for students looking to make friends with their classmates or just fellow program mates?
So with classmates, if we're going to say RJ students mainly, I was able to connect with them really well. I think Japanese it was a bit harder. However, I still have friends over there. It's just get out there, keep asking them online because you're going to be using line no matter what
Hmm.
all the time. Get online, text them, ask them, hey, do you want to do something? And hopefully, they say yes, or even just keep talking to people just outright. Even talk with the Japanese students to again learn Japanese a little bit. However, sometimes they'll want to speak in English to you, or you can even do. I actually was able to meet some really good friends through joining the BBC, the Brown Bag Cafe. That's where I met one of my really good friends over there. I still keep in contact with him today. He's from America, of course, but he knew Japanese much better than me, so I was able to learn from him a lot too. And yeah, it doesn't even have to be American. It doesn't have to be Japanese. I was able to make an Indonesian friend over there too, who I still keep in contact with to this day. And even someone that's part of the JET program that I just randomly met at a um, the fireworks festival. Hanabi
That's
Matsuri. There we go. I was
no,
looking
no,
for the
that's
word.
awesome. So kind of to piggyback from there, once you established obviously your friendships and started to find your rhythm abroad, were you able to explore the region? Any advice for students looking to explore the region? Maybe any optional excursions with team, anything like that?
Whatever team gives you, take it. You're only there once in your life, unless you want to start living there and so on and so forth. Then you got time. But whatever they give you, go for it. Unless you have other plans that are more important planned, then fair enough, right? But other than teen, continue talking with your friends, get into more friend groups, even get involved with the International Students Society over there, because they were able to plan a trip to Mount Takal, which is one of my favorites. They actually had me as a leader. Well, I not willingly, I volunteered to be a leader over there, and I was surprised. I got was the leader of an all group that spoke mainly Japanese and Korean, and it was a good moment to teach a little English, but then also try my Japanese a little bit. It was I think it was probably one of my favorite moments during my time in Japan, and I actually wish I could do it again.
Well, who knows, right? Maybe.
Yeah.
Um, all right. So you know what? Moving on from there, just to a bit of a more serious but important topic, obviously the academics, right? Campus life, internships, study abroad, the coursework, they can all look pretty different from what we're used to in the States. So Kai, what was it like going to JF Oberlin?
JF Oberlin, I would say, they're mainly you're going to be taking Japanese, of course, and when you're taking Japanese, especially if you take Japanese one, they'll speak a little Nihongo or Japanese to you at times. Well, they're going to speak a little English to you. That's what I meant to say. I apologize. They're going to be mainly speaking to you in Japanese because they expect you to know it already. But once you get into Japanese 2, Japanese 3, and so on and so forth, they're not going to speak English to you at all. You should already know the bare basics down already. But it's still a great way to be able to learn a language. Like that's how I first was able to learn it, even though I wasn't the best academic student, I would say, in Japanese, because second languages have not always been my forte. I still had so much fun with it. And you also be able to take other classes that are mainly in English, unless your Japanese is really good. I was able to take a Japanese cuisine class, which was one of my favorites, where we got to learn about Japanese cuisine and what it means differently in each region. And also intercultural communications, where I was able to meet some of my good friends through that. And in terms of how long the classes are, it really varies. They're typically about an hour, 30 minutes per period. So for Japanese one, it's 2 periods straight. So you have an hour 30 right here. You'll have a 10-minute break, then another hour 30. You get through it. It's pretty nice. And then if you have another class, you're good from there. But more than anything, it's a great way to continue learning language, meet new people. At the end of the day, you kind of just get through it and you still have a good time with it. Don't be like, oh, I have another class. This sucks, which I know that's happened to me too, especially when it's raining and warm, but you're not going to have that opportunity again. And I kind of wish I was still in that class. I actually do.
It's funny you mentioned that. I was actually going to ask you if you miss the schedule, or I guess a better question would be, did you find that you adjusted to the schedule of the new coursework rather easy, or did it take a little bit of adjustment to
I
get used to
think,
it?
yeah, no, because everything was really close to each other. You didn't have to walk very far. I mean, like the department for where the language is about right here. I'd always have to go there in the morning. That's when they typically were. And at about the afternoon, early afternoon to like late evening, the other building was over here. That's where I'd also have to work as well for the BBC. And everything was pretty close. Even if you wanted to get food, the canteen was there. And funny enough, McDonald's and KFC and also like the local gyudon place was open too. I forget what the other place was. They'd always make amazing fried chicken, and it's like Japanese fried chicken. The guy's amazing. Um, it's down the road. If you keep going past the where the BBC is, where you're going to be mainly doing lots of your English classes, it's amazing. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. It's amazing. And he only charges you like 500 yen. Go 100 yen. Worth it.
All right. So everybody take note of that, I guess, of wherever this place will be.
I'll probably look
Um,
up the name for it later.
well, I'll tell you what, we obviously we likely have, some students that are still on the fence of applying. So how far in advance did you apply, and what advice would you share just about the overall application process?
Application process, it's more of when I was doing it, it's procrastination versus actually doing it typically. But I had classes at the same time too, but I really wanted to do it. So at times I would let it off and say like, oh, I have this instead, or I just like I want to take a relax day. But I actually did it pretty quick. My international department was able to help me along the way. I chatted with my advisor, your family, of course, because you could tell your family this that you're doing this, right? They're not going to say, "Oh, you applied to go abroad. Why didn't you tell me?" You know what I'm saying? But it was pretty simple process. Everything's pretty straightforward and all that. And if you ever have any questions, it'll take a few days, but they'll always get back to you easily, and they'll always help you out. Heck, I mean, it's even easy to get the visa, which it's more of a pain over here in Ireland, and they also charge you a lot more. The Japanese one is so much better.
That is, that is true. So, for our audience members out there who have already applied, there's a few documents and obviously deadlines that you'll have to adhere to. So I'll ask you, Kai, what was the biggest hurdle, if any, in completing your just the application process? What advice would you have for applicants going through the process?
I think as mentioned before, for me, because I was going to college, I still go to college in Massachusetts. So luckily, I had a majority of everything with me. I keep my passport on me at all times wherever I go because it's very important to you, just in general. And it's again procrastination. The procrastination is going to get you at the end, and you're going to say, "Oh, like I'll leave it for later on. I'll leave it for later on," and then the deadline hits, and that's typically not the best time to tell the advisor or the person that's helping you with the routine, "Hey, can I get a few more days?" And they'll say, "You had so long to do it, and now you're telling me this now." And it's again, it's you feel bad, but then at the same time, it's at the end of the day, just get it done. That's kind of like the short and simple answer. And if you ever have any questions, ask your international department, ask teen more than anything. It's sounds weird or rude. You just gotta get it done. And then once you're done with it, you're gonna feel like, whew, now I get to go. And also apply for the scholarship. I personally, sadly, I didn't because I thought my mother makes too much. So, but always try, ask them, and you know, you never know. You might get some good money that will help you along the way.
So basically, just check the box as soon as you can, just to get it over with and to get yourself some extra peace of mind right while you're just waiting.
That is at the end of the day, I would say what you have to do. But again, if you have any questions, ask your international department, ask teen more than anything. Because don't do something because you're rushing through it. Just know what you're doing. At the end of the day, ask them a question. You'll be fine.
A great point. Well, I guess to that point in navigating the process, do you have any advice on staying organized? Did you have a system that you used, anything like that, or did you just do things when you saw them and got ahead of schedule?
It was a bit mixed. I would typically try and do my classwork first. If I ever had any time, maybe let's say after I finished a long report or I finished my homework, or I had time before I went to lunch or I went to go see friends for dinner, I would do the application process. I'd try and get at least little bits and pieces of it done so I wouldn't have to worry about it later on. I forget when I was able to submit it, but I apologize for not knowing that. But at the end of the day, it appeared to work out really well because I was able to go. So that's kind of that would be a suggestion. I would say is maybe have like a certain set time or just finish your work, your classwork if you can, and do like at least a little bit. Get the easier stuff out of the way first, and then maybe the more difficult things, and you should be fine. But it doesn't take that long. It doesn't take that long. Maybe a few days or so, and you'll be fine.
Great, great advice. All right, so a little scenario for you. Let's say you have 2 weeks before you leave. Everything, all the paperwork is done. Obviously, you're ready to go. What were some last minute preparations that you made?
Last minute preparations. Well, for me, I always do it the week before, but I like the 2 weeks instead. Make sure you pack lightly. you're gonna buy more stuff than you expect. I know firsthand because I spent way too much. So maybe pack at least maybe five um, pairs of shirts, underpants, of course, some socks, some shorts, and all that because it's gonna get warm over there, but you'll be there when it's perfect. Double check that you make sure you have everything. You have the right bag. You have your passport, of course. You have your visa too. Um, and kind of I guess you could do on the plane too a checklist of things you want to do when you're over there, because once you get over there, it's we gotta get going. You gotta keep up the pace and all that, and then you're gonna get crowded with homework and all that. So it's mainly just make sure your packing is done. Make sure you have your passport, especially the date when it expires, because sometimes that's happened when I've talked with friends is they went to go like not study, just to go on vacation, and then their passports had expired. And then they're like, oh no, what am I gonna do? So always make sure you're up to date on your passport too, more than anything. And you have the proper paperwork, everything's organized, and you should be fine. And at the end of the day, just relax. You're gonna get there, you're gonna have fun.
Hey Meredith, how are you? Welcome.
Hi, I'm good.
All right. Well, we were, first of all, having a great conversation, and Kai and I are talking about packing and last minute preparation. So I guess before we get some insight from you, do you want to just give everybody a quick introduction to yourself?
Yeah, so hi everyone, I'm Meredith. I actually just recently did a study abroad with teen, and it was in this past summer, 2023. It was a month in Tokyo, and yeah, so it was pretty fun.
Awesome. Well, Kai and I were just going over some scenarios. Um, I guess one of the things I asked was, let's say it's 2 weeks before you leave for Japan, and you have all your paperwork done, you have everything you need, you're ready to go. What would you say would be some last minute preparations that you made?
Before leaving, I made a bunch of preparations. So I actually got a bunch of travel size, like shampoo, conditioner, like a lot of stores typically will have those, like Target or Walmart. But I went ahead and got those, just things that I know would pass through TSA. Just like it's
Mhm.
always best, I feel like, just to kind of check ahead of time, maybe like look on the website. I know like some airlines might be a little bit different with like what you are allowed to bring. I know I
Mhm.
flew American, so they allowed me to
Uh,
bring one free check bag, and then you could have a carry-on, and then like maybe like a small personal item like a purse or like a backpack. So always just like, make sure you can find that out ahead of time so you know exactly how to pack, because I feel like packing is just like such a big part of like, preparing and everything before you go. It's always good to like know what you're doing ahead of time with that.
Got it. That's an amazing insight. Well, I'll tell you what, I want to give you the chance to answer some of the questions that Kai gave some really awesome responses to, just because I want to be able to see your opinion and obviously your insight. So, in terms of, academics, right? Campus life, internships, obviously, doesn't, you weren't an intern, but in terms of, study abroad coursework and things like that, obviously it can look pretty different than what we're all used to in the States. So obviously we know you went to JF Oberlin. So what was your experience like?
Oh, it was amazing. Everyone was super friendly. They actually had a festival while we were there, like a university festival that all the students prepared, and we were invited to go. We attended. It was super fun. And it's definitely a lot smaller than what we're used to here in America. It was only one building. Actually, no, technically it was two buildings, but they were like connected. They had like a little sky bridge. But it's definitely a lot smaller. It's just, one area, not like a huge campus. But the food there was amazing. They had a cafeteria, and typically, the way it worked there was you would go in and just select. They had different meals every day. They had A lunch, B lunch, and C lunch, and it was about 500 yen, which was, I don't know how that much that would be in the US
it's like three
dollars, maybe like
dollars or something.
$3. Yeah, so
Yeah.
very inexpensive, but also very good food, and they gave you a lot of food too, which is nice.
Hmm.
And so it's just like almost like a high school cafeteria like setting, So you have all the tables, the cafeteria, but it was amazing. It's really nice. So
That's it. Yeah, please. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Now you were in the Shinjuku campus, right?
yes, yes, I was.
Okay, yeah. So with JF Oberlin, there's two separate ones. So I was in the one that was in Matsuda, so it's like the bigger one. You were in the.
Yeah,
I
the
went there
smaller
one
one.
time. Yeah, that was actually nice. It looked like the Google campus
Oh
a
yeah,
little
yeah.
bit. It was really nice. It's just like trying to find it though from the station. I was like, because I went with one of the other teen abroad students. We're like, where the heck are we going right now? but
Well,
but it was
luckily
nice.
they like take you and basically show you around the first day that you're there. They kind of give you a little tour around the campus, so it kind of helps. So,
Fair enough.
Definitely.
yeah.
Well, one of the things we talked about previously was about making friends, right? Obviously, sometimes it can be a concern we hear from students, each and every year. So if you're looking to make friends with the locals, obviously the language barrier can be tough to overcome. So what advice do you have for students looking to make friends with their new classmates?
I would say for their classmates, for people that maybe not, they don't know as much English, mostly Japanese, I would definitely say having your phone with you just in case you want to maybe pull up a translator is that's also very helpful. I've had to do that a few times, but fortunately I was able to study ahead of time with the language, and so I kind of was already able to use Japanese. But if you aren't really as familiar with the language, I would definitely say using like keeping a like electronic dictionary maybe like Gshow is a really good website that I would use a lot, and it lets you translate back and forth between Japanese and English. So if there's something that you're trying to communicate and you don't know how they responded, you can always, I would sometimes hand them my phone and they would just type in exactly what they were saying, and like there was that. But
Yeah, that would be that's great advice. That's great advice. So in terms of, sorry, I just want to shift to um, just a different question to get your insight on culture shock, right? Obviously, that's a very real thing. And obviously, having to navigate your identity can be tricky in this new, unfamiliar place. So, um, what was your experience navigating your identity while embracing the new culture around you?
I would say at first it was a bit difficult because I was very like not so used to their culture. It was my first time ever going to Japan. So um I I would say that what I did though was like ahead of time, I did a lot of research on just a lot of things that are very normalized there. Like for instance, stuff like not eating while walking. I had to kind of like make sure like it's always just like looking at yourself and looking at the locals and just kind of matching what you're doing to what they're doing. Um, that's kind of what I would do. Like when I first got there, I actually didn't realize that on the escalators how you're supposed to stand onto one side and like let people walk up on the other side. And so I just kind of like looked at what everyone else was doing and I just moved to the side where everyone was standing on. It's definitely just looking at your surroundings and then just kind of trying to match what you're doing to what everyone else is doing. That's just kind of what I did.
And I think that's great insight, right? When in doubt, just look around, take another
Yeah.
moment, look around, see what everybody else is doing, and just mirror the same behavior. 9 times out of 10, you'll do the right thing, right? Probably 10 times out of 10. So I'll say, knowing what you both know now, what advice would you give your former self, before going abroad? And I think Meredith, just to continue with you, why don't you go ahead and start?
Oh, I would definitely say I would have told myself to maybe go out more and do more things because I feel like there'd be times where I'd be like, I just kind of want to stay in my room, maybe FaceTime people or something like that. But there's also the time difference, of course. But I would just say like go out a lot, and even if it's like on your own, like Japan is a very like it's not like a country where people will judge you if you're just like by yourself, like unlike here. Like you can go out and eat on your own and people won't judge you. It's like what everyone does there. And I would just say like go out and just do as much as you can and talk to as many people as you can and are able to, because I just, you know, you don't want to regret it later on. So,
Definitely. So get out more. Great.
yeah.
And how about you, Kai? What advice would you give your former self before going
Well,
abroad?
I wouldn't want to spoil him that much about like the amount of like happiness you're gonna have and the amount of fun times you're gonna have. I'd probably tell him you gotta learn the language a bit more, though, bro. You gotta learn a bit more because it'll help you along the way. Probably that. Again, getting out more. I did get out quite a bit, but whenever an opportunity is presented to you and you really want to do it, you gotta do it. Like even I would ask, I think it was earlier on, I'd always email my professors and say, "Hey, can I go do this?" And luckily, one of them, she used to study in America and live there actually for a little bit. She said, "You're only here once. You only get 2 times to do it. You might as well just still do it because you're not going to be here again, right?" And I said, "Fair enough." So whenever anything is presented to you, even if friends are saying, "Hey, you want to go do this? You want to go do that?" Like karaoke or karaoke, everyone did it. I wish I got to do that more. I should have been more talkative about that, in my opinion. Do it. You can't really do it anywhere else. I mean, you can try to do it in America, but it just doesn't feel the same. So whenever opportunities are presented to you, just you gotta do it. Just do it.
Just say yes, and great experiences will happen.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. No, awesome, awesome. Well, I'll tell you what, last but not least, students always talk about what a life-changing experience study abroad can be. So what would you say was the moment for you that you'll never forget? Let's go ahead and start with Meredith again.
Okay. So for me, I would definitely say whenever I finished climbing to the top of Mount Takao, which that was actually in, yes, yes, I'm sure you went there too, right? It
Yes, I did.
was
You're
amazing.
stealing
And
my idea.
um
It's okay.
like it was an excursion actually that we all went as a group out on a Saturday, I believe. And we started early in the morning, went all the way up, and then on the way down we took like a ski lift. Yeah, it was a
You
ski
took
lift.
the
We took a
cable car
ski lift
down.
down. Yeah, cable car. Yeah, yeah.
You took the cable car
And
down, right? Okay.
just that whole experience was just kind of like, wow, like I'm here. This is amazing. I can't believe I made it this far. It was just, also really pretty from up there. So,
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Really gives you perspective, obviously.
yeah.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, Kai, why don't you go ahead and close us out with your life-changing moment?
Well, I can't say Mount Takao because that one's already taken. Takao's one, I can't say that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll say two briefly. One was meeting one of my best friends I still keep in contact was through the BBC. I was just going in there to sign some paperwork, and then I just started talking to him. I said a joke, and then he got it. And then ever since then, I asked him, "Hey, you want to go out for dinner?" And he said, "Sure." We talked, and even to this day, we keep in contact. And then another one that is a bit more appealing, I must say, was going to Zusi Beach. Um, and I was with a group at the time, and a random guy just comes up to us and says, "Hey, you mind if I join you guys?" And I thought they were he was friends of the people at the front. He sits next to me when we're on the beach, and we just start talking sports. And he tells me where he's from. He says he's from Massachusetts area. I'm like, "Oh my goodness, I go to college in Massachusetts too, man." He's like, "I know. Oh, that's amazing." And then he says he's a jet teacher, and um, his Japanese is really good. And we see the fireworks, and we exchange phone numbers and all that. We got to hang out from time to time. He showed me around, and we still stay in contact to this day. It's those little things too, like being able to meet those people that mean something to you for the rest of your life. Even those are very impactful, I would say, in my opinion.
That's amazing. I mean, that's that the both of the insights really just paint two different stories, right? But that even shows to go
Thank you, Jay.
how many amazing things are there. Well, I think at this point, we'd love to open up the platform for any questions that anybody might have. So, at this time, if anybody has any questions, feel free to unmute yourself. You can speak it, or if you feel more comfortable asking in the chat, We'd love to hear from you guys if you have any questions.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
go
I
ahead.
had I had one about because I know you guys, I don't know, I believe one of you said that you were there for a month and then you were there for like a tad bit longer. I had a question about souvenirs because packing, how much did you end up paying coming back? Like I would have a whole another suitcase I can imagine full of like how did you go about that and like how did you know like what to spend your money on or what's like a waste or what's like that? How did you go about doing
You want to go
it?
first, Meredith?
Okay, yeah. So what I did, me personally, so I actually like ahead of time when how I packed like going there, I actually put all of my personal stuff like my clothes, like shampoo can whatever in my main big suitcase that I checked, and my carry-on I left like almost completely empty because I felt like I didn't really need to bring any like entertainment things. Like I didn't bring any books or games or whatever because I was like, I'm in Japan. I'm not going to need that because I'm going to be constantly busy going out and doing things. So I just only brought like my essentials and I left um my carry-on suitcase like completely empty. So all the souvenirs that I ended up buying all just went into there going back. So I didn't have to worry about like buying an extra luggage or spending more money checking more bags or anything. That's just what I did. Um, because I just packed really light going there. Because I feel like you don't really necessarily need to bring a whole lot, maybe just like a week's worth of clothes. Because my hotel had a coin laundry system. So that was super helpful because I was able to just wash my clothes and not have to bring a lot. So that's just what I did.
I wish I was you. I really wish I was you because I was there for about 4 months or so. So it's called Be Careful What You Buy because everything's very cheap over there, and don't go to a place called Book Off. That means go there. Because if you really like anime and video games and all that, you're going to be spending so much money over there. And with me, I had to send so many boxes through Japan Post. Do not do it. It's not worth it.
A comment on Book Off. I have a
Oh no.
friend that spent first day there. He spent
Yeah.
$400 on Book Off. And yeah,
Yeah.
he had to ship things back.
How many manga series he buy? If he did.
Oh, I don't even want to know. I don't know. No
Oh,
idea.
but yeah, I mean, Book Off's really good. You can even just go to. Oh yeah, I saw Autumn raise her hand too. I'll finish up real quick. I apologize. But just be careful what you buy. Things are very cheap over there. I mean, the books. If you go to Book Off, they're going to be in Japanese, so it'd be good to know hiragana to katakana to kanji. I just said and to. But yeah, just be careful what you buy. And I guess, in my opinion, have friends that are willing to help you lug the giant boxes to the Japan post office when it's 97 up. No, don't do that. Do not do that unless they're very nice to you and you're gonna buy them lunch. But do not do that. But it's overall it's very fun. Just if you have your heart set on something that you're like, I'm gonna appreciate for the rest of my life, do it. In terms of clothing, you might want to buy some nice clothes over there while you're there too, because wearing shorts is not preferred. You might want to buy some nice chinos, khakis, or like, yeah, they're very stingy about fashion over there, and I kind of like it a little bit. I never got into it though, a little bit though, but I like it.
Yeah, it helped you, I guess, develop your own personal style in a way, right? Just seeing the different
I still wear
fashion.
shorts.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah,
But
a little bit.
all right, I think Autumn, you had a question, right?
Yeah, I guess I'm like kind of anxious about like because I've heard like from several people like, oh, my aunt went to Japan and everyone's so nice there, or oh yeah, my brother went to Japan and like he was like treated rudely or like a foreigner. And I guess I'm wondering like, did you guys have any like did you guys have a lot of negative experiences in Japan as well? And if so, like
You
how
want to
did
go?
you
No, go ahead. My bad. I do all the time.
Um, I would say so I was there for a month, so I can't really like I didn't have as many experiences um being there for like a shorter period of time, but I think the one time that I really had something like, I guess, bad happen was just at a restaurant, and I was with my whole friend group, and we were just like all of us were from America, so we're all foreigners, and we just kind of had really bad service at a restaurant specifically because we were foreigners, because they were treating the Japanese group very nicely, but then us they were very rude. But that was really the only like bad like incident we really had. Other than that, everyone was very nice and welcoming to us. They were very interested in hearing about, America, and like wanted to practice their English, and everyone was mostly just very sweet. So,
I apologize to you, Autumn, for cutting you off. I do that a lot. And then we'll get you next, Hayden. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate all of you. Thanks. For me, it was I didn't want to embarrass myself and be rude to anyone. So at first, I didn't know much Japanese, but over time, I started to practice doing it a bit more as I want to be polite. At the same time, the moment I hear them start to talk English, I'm like, oh, good. This is not going to end well. But it was always fine. They're always very nice to you as long as you act very nice, respectful. Don't talk loud. The one thing you never do is don't talk very loud on the train. Don't like make a jokester of yourself out in public, and you'll be fine. People keep to themselves a lot over there. Very apologetic, feels like me too. But it's still be you. Just understand the environment you're in. They'll be nice to you if you're nice to them as well. And again, translator app helps too, but it's also kind of a bit better to know the language a bit more because at times the moment they see the translator app come out, they kind of shake their head.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
no
you
problem.
both.
I think Hayden was next.
Yeah, so I was gonna ask, are you allowed to travel freely outside of the university and town? Because like I want to go see the countryside. I was wanting to know if that's really something you can do or if you're supposed to stick closer to where you're at.
You
guys
I'll
may
go
not know
first.
that.
No, I
Well,
did it one time.
Oh, go ahead,
here.
Kai. Go ahead. Well, wait, let's say maybe what was your personal experience potentially traveling outside of just your university?
Well, I went to Osaka like near the end. It was classes were done, but typically what you'd have to do is you'd have to fill out a form beforehand with the dormitory and also to let them know where you're going. Um, I apologize ahead of time. I did not do that. I did tell them though where I was going, and they're like, "Okay, he's fine." Because you will live in two different dormitories. I lived in dormitory two. It's a bit older, but the gentleman over there, Meru-san, lovely dude. He's amazing. um, but typically you'll have to tell them where you're going, how long you'll be there for, and if you're going by yourself or with someone. But everything's pretty easy to get to. I took the Shinkansen and I stayed there for about 2 days because I went to go see the PSG versus Al Nassr game. That was fun, even if no one scored. But it was well worth it, and the food was really good over there. And I actually saw a classmate of mine over there, and I got to have dinner with her. So you can go anywhere as long as I would typically suggest go with a friend. But if you know how to get around, and if you're going to the countryside, make sure your Japanese is very good because in terms of English speaking, the further away you go from Tokyo, it's going to get harder. Kyoto, you might be okay for a little bit, but then after that, it gets harder and harder and harder. Like if you're to go to like Hiroshima, they'll still know a little bit, but it's going to be very hard. Also, it's takai, meaning expensive.
I never ended up going really outside of Tokyo. The most I really did was the excursions with the group. But one of my friends that I made in the group, what he did is he planned ahead of time and ended up staying after the study abroad, like after everything concluded, because you don't necessarily have to leave like immediately right after. You can just you have to leave your hotel because you only have it for a set amount of time, which is the program. But what he did is he checked out of his hotel and then he actually took a bullet train and started traveling on his own, and just kind of stayed a few weeks after the program ended and then left on his own accord, basically. So you can, even if you like, what's it, aren't doing the program anymore because it ended, you can still like travel on your own and see the countryside afterwards.
That's really good to know.
So would you guys maybe share, Meredith and Kai, do you have any advice on potentially anything you need to know about staying longer with a visa or anything like that?
Well, I had family, so I guess I could say I was okay. But if you're by yourself, I would typically suggest staying with maybe a family friend or a really close friend, while you're there for a period of time, because having to go around the hotels, while they are cheap, they are much cheaper than America and also Europe too right now. Yes, I can agree to that. They can get pricey over time because you have to pay for accommodation, you have to pay for food, and then you're like, I want to buy that one thing, but I got to pay for food right now because if I don't get food, I'm gonna go hungry, right? And then also the bullet train can be pretty expensive. It's very efficient though, don't get me wrong, but it's very expensive. And then also the Densa or the train, just like the subway system, can get expensive over time. And more than anything, always have physical cash on you. Always have physical cash on you. It's still very cash based. Your credit cards, make sure. Typically, Visa is preferred a lot. I don't know about MasterCard in America and all that, but Visa is always the way to go. But if you ever want to tap up your Suica card, which is the one you'll have if you take the Densa, the train all the time, always have cash on you because that's the only way you're going to tap it up more than anything. And especially if you do it, because like I had it on my phone, but I kind of screwed up because then I'm like, how am I going to tap it up now? Because you can't do it through card. You can only do it through cash.
That's true. You have to worry about, not worry, but you have to be able to think about those things ahead as far as having cash, the availability of ATMs, which are, pretty, they're pretty much everywhere. Meredith, any insight about, money spending, having cash on you, things like that?
I would definitely say if you're staying in like somewhere like Tokyo where it's like a huge city, even then having cash is like always a good idea. I actually, about the card. So I was able the Suica card, that's basically what you're going to be using for your transportation, the whole time you're there. At first we were given a physical card, but they showed us a way to put it on our phone, and like I have mine right there. So it's basically like, with like Apple Pay, how you can like pull it up on your phone and just do that. That's just basically what you could do with the Suica card. However, in order to add more money onto it, you had to have, if I remember correctly, I believe a MasterCard specifically, because I had a Visa and it like refused, or yeah, it like refused to like let me add more money onto my Suica. So I had to go to the train station. Like I had to physically go to the train station and find it was like a pink machine that they had there. And I had to put my phone underneath this scanner thing that would scan the card on my phone. And I would have to put cash into the machine in order to add more to my card. So but that was just because I didn't have the right type of card to add to it. So having cash, I definitely would say is a good idea. Always bring it with you. Yeah.
Definitely. Well, I tell you what, we have a couple minutes left before we close the session out, but Catherine, definitely want to have your question asked. So yeah, like I said, feel free to drop it in the chat, unmute yourself, whatever works for you.
Yeah, we're here for you guys.
How was landing at the airport and getting to where you would be living?
Very quick, landed there, took long flight connecting, was waiting there, met my guys, or met the people, got on the bus, took about 2 hours, 30 minutes, boom, made there in time. In case anyone wanted other questions, so that's why I'm going fast.
Same thing for me. That's basically what happened. So
Yeah, and,
They-
and also, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, no, I was just saying they had a group chat ahead of time, so they just like told us exactly where to go. So
And well, that's what I was going to bring up was, there will be obviously teen staff, your on-site staff waiting for you there, and they will help you get to your accommodations, which is one of the great parts of doing the program is just the really inclusive on-site staff that will help you and meet you at the airport when you arrive. So you don't have to worry about that at all. They'll be there just waiting for you. I think now just want to take a moment to thank both of you, Meredith and Kai. Really insightful conversations, and it always helps, the students when they get a chance to hear from you who have gone and experienced the same thing. And there's a lot of things to weigh in terms of this decision, but as you shared and as we know, it really is a life-changing experience, and it's one of the better things you can do, right? Just going abroad and seeing what the world is like on the other side. So just wanted to thank you guys for your time and your insight.
thank you for
Well,
having
thank you
me.
for having us. Yeah.
It was lovely to have you. It was lovely to have you. Well, if you guys have any other questions, feel free to reach out to us in the links that we provided and via Meredith and Kai's contact information. So I want to thank all of you for coming to Advice from Alumni Discover Japan. It was a pleasure to have you, and we look forward to helping you in the future get to Japan.